The Porsche Arena in Stuttgart has hosted every legend tennis has ever produced. But on April 9, 2026, the cameras at Stuttgart Airport were not waiting for champions. They were waiting for a queen. 20-year-old Alexandra Eala received direct entry into the main draw of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix, bypassing qualifiers entirely after Qin Huanyung's injury withdrawal. And within hours, Philippine media outlets exploded with one unified message. Viral arrival in Germany. Dolgo million fans. The crowd was already there. The chants were already echoing, and what happened next proved that Alexandra Eala does not need a trophy to own a tournament. Subscribe and drop your prediction in the comments. How far does I go in Stuttgart? 48 hours earlier had walked off the court in Linz after falling to Yelena Ostapenko 64-75 in the second round. The loss stung. The ranking sat at number 46. Clay had not been kind to her in 2026. Then the announcement came. Stuttgart main draw direct entry. WTA 500 indoor clay. The exact surface where reputations are built. This was not a gift. This was a gauntlet. The Stuttgart field reads like a who's who of the WTA elite. Arena Sabalenka, Egate, Coco Gauff, Elena Rybakina. Players who have combined for multiple Grand Slam titles and occupy the top 10 like permanent residents. IA was walking into the most competitive WTA 500 draw of the spring clay season, not as a qualifier fighting for scraps, but as a main draw player expected to deliver. The opportunity was real. So was the danger. And her Filipino supporters were not treating this like a courtesy invite. They were treating it like Coronation Day. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix made it official on X on April 9th. Alexandra Eala replaces Qin Huanyung in the main draw. Unfortunately, Qin Huanyung has to withdraw due to injury, but fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in. That single sentence ignited a movement. Within hours, Philippine YouTube channels and news outlets flooded social media with arrival coverage. Alexandra Eala viral arrival in Germany. Headlines framed her travel to Stuttgart as if she were arriving for a state visit. Fans who had just watched her in Austria were already planning trips to Germany. The Pinoy diaspora does not wait for permission to claim their hero. Put yourself in the shoes of a tournament organizer in Stuttgart. You issue a routine injury replacement announcement. By nightfall, your event is trending across Southeast Asia, and the Filipino community in Europe is mobilizing like a campaign rally. That is the power Alexandra Eala carries everywhere she goes. The pattern was already established. Just 2 days earlier in Linz, after defeating Julia Grabber in the first round, Eala stood on court and delivered a message that went far beyond tennis. Speaking first in English, then switching to Tagalog, she told the crowd. Clip 2. I think it's amazing. I'm really happy with how they've welcomed me and welcomed the Filipinos. I guess we match really well because there are a lot of them here. So, I'm really thankful for the hospitality. That moment, her choice to speak Tagalog. Her acknowledgement of the fans, not as spectators, but as partners, is why the Queen arrival narrative is not hype. It is recognition of something real. Even her opponent felt it. During the Linz second-round match against Oapino, the Filipino crowd became so vocal that Ostapenko complained to officials mid-match. At one point, she sarcastically invited a heckler to come play for me so I can learn. After winning, she thanked the crowd with obvious frustration. You helped me a lot today. When your fans rattle a former French Open champion so badly that she has to address them publicly, you are not just playing tennis. You are commanding the atmosphere. Now that energy follows Eala to Stuttgart. The Porsche Arena seats over 4,500. Stuttgart has one of the largest Filipino communities in Germany. The math is not complicated. Alexandra Eala is about to turn an indoor clay court in southern Germany into Manila. And she is not walking in unprepared. Her coaching team for the European clay swing Sandro Vieni on site with support from Joan Bosch at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca has her locked in tactically. The loss to Oako was competitive. The win over Grabber was dominant. The clay game is there. The crowd will be louder than any opponent has experienced all year. The tournament itself said it best. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix organizers did not bury the replacement announcement. They promoted it. Fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in. That phrasing is deliberate. This is one of the most prestigious WTA 500 events on the calendar. Stuttgart does not need to hype injury replacements. They chose to frame Eala's entry as something fans should anticipate. That is institutional recognition that she is not just filling a spot. She is a draw. When the event organizers themselves validate your arrival as newsworthy, the narrative writes itself. Stuttgart is the first major indoor clay event of the season. Madrid follows, then Rome, then Roland Garros. Every round Eala survives in Stuttgart builds momentum, not just for her ranking, but for the larger story. The rise of Filipino tennis as a global force. This is not abstract. Filipino fans are already booking travel to Madrid. Social media pages are coordinating watch parties across the Philippines and Europe. Sponsors are watching ticket sales and engagement metrics spike every time Eala steps on court. The WTA has spent years trying to crack the Asian market beyond China and Japan. Alexa is doing it without billion-dollar academy systems or government tennis programs. She is doing it with talent, grit, and a diaspora that refuses to let her play alone. Tournament directors from Indian Wells to Roland Garros are paying attention, not because of her ranking, because of what happens when she shows up. The Lint loss to OAKO was close. Eala led in the second set. She had opportunities at 5-5. She could not close. The final score 6-4, 7-5 reflects margins, not dominance. But when the match ended, the Lint's crowd rose to their feet. A standing ovation for the loser. Eala raised a racket, smiled, and walked off the court without showing frustration. Within 2 days, she had posted gratitude for the fans and shifted focus to Stuttgart. That response, immediate, gracious, forward-looking, is why the Filipino community treats her like royalty. She honors them even in defeat. April 9th, the announcement drops. April 10th, Philippine media declares her arrival viral. April 13th, she steps onto the Porsche Arena court with thousands of Filipinos chanting her name. Alexa is not arriving in Stuttgart as a replacement. She is arriving as proof that the people's champion does not need a seating to command a stage. The belief you carried when she was ranked outside the top 50 when others dismissed her as a junior slam winner who might not translate is being validated in real time. You saw the fire before the rankings reflected it. The world is finally catching up to what Filipino fans have known for years. Can Alexa ride this wave of Pinoy support deep into the Stuttgart draw? Or will Sabalina, Siatique, or Gal stop the coronation before it begins? Subscribe now because you are not just following a player. You are part of the movement that turned every European clay court into Filipino soil. The true believers were here first. Make sure you do not miss what happens when the Queen takes her throne. Drop your prediction in the comments. How far does Eala go in Stuttgart?